Hi everybody, welcome on the channel for the third game of Bellum Lacum number 6. As a reminder, we capped the first round, then we draw 40-40 the second, and we had a tough third matchup against Team Piloli from Italy. If they're watching the battle report, especially my opponent, I say hi to them. It was really pleasant to face them as always. It's really something that I enjoy since the last couple of years is the appearance of Italian team from the region Milano in the tournament, French tournament like this one, or tournament also as well in Switzerland. It's really something, it's refreshing, it's new faces, and as always, friendly guy where you can play competitive but also very enjoyable games, so a lot of fun. I was paired against Doomsday from Team ETC Italy. He was playing Infernal Dwarves, and I have my Ogre can, as you know. Three words about the pairing. We throw our Demon Legion guy, who had one red matchup that we wanted to avoid, and basically the rest was okay. We kept in hand myself and the KOE, so we were able to choose. We kept in hand the War of the Dark God, and we throw as an answer myself and KOE. And basically, we were able to pick War of the Dark God against KOE, which was a green for us. Then we picked Demon Legion against Sora and Ancient, and they picked Ogre Khan against ID, and KOE against Iborn Elf, where we had quite positive matchup. I don't know if we were mistaken or not, but we all felt confident about facing this list. So yeah, we felt quite good about the pairing, and let's see how that goes. You know my list. This was my opponent's list, so he's playing a Master Shamut on a bull, small bull. Then he has a Vizier BSB that's going into a big block of Infernal Warrior with Infernal Bastion. He has an Adept Witchcraft, which works really, really well. I love the idea of him with the two Shooty Titan that don't move so well, but then boosted by Witchcraft, it comes really good, especially with the flying move. Big block of Vassal Levies, 2 units of Slaves, 6 Anointed paired weapon with a Flaming Standard, and then he has another unit of 3 Anointed, so yeah, quite a lot of combat threat, and a good list all over. Taking my notes about the game, yeah. Let's move on to the settings. So we played Sacred Target on Diagonal, and then spell selection. Since I expected some clash, some combat, I picked a very buff-oriented magic phase with number 2 of Thaumaturgy, Smite the Unbeliever, Awakened Beast, Hereditary Rod of Battle, so 4 buffs, and then 3 damage spell, being Wrath of God, End of Heaven, and Swarm of Insect. And on the right we have my opponent's spell selection. Matchup analysis, so he has a strong list, it's hard to break. I know the strengths and weaknesses of Infernal Dwarves. Diagonal Sacred Target means it's kind of hard to win this secondary objective, because as you will see, you can place it basically here in your strong triangle, where the opponent can basically deploy nothing, and he can do the same, which is what happens very often. He has a limited access to combat buff, so he has a good setup to do range damage with Pyro in some games, but then he has limited access to combat buff. And he has also quite short range chaff, so he's going to throw the slave at me and then I have to react. But it could be hard for him to engage. I know that Raven Swing and After Thrower short range could be a huge threat for me, so I have to be careful about that. And basically, one of the key of the match is now how to deal with the slaves. What should I use or engage the slave with? And basically, that could be an issue in the matchup. Estimation was drawish, as I put like yellow. Deployment, so I won the roll for side, and basically I gave him the impassable and put my Sacred Target facing the impassable in my strong area of deployment, like I used to say, the strong triangle, and he does the same, so he put his right here facing his strong line where I cannot deploy anything. And then he decided to drop for first turn, which makes a lot of sense. He put the Naphtha Titan and the Titan Mortar Titan on the sides. Then he has his small Witchcraft guy. He has the unit of Slaves, a unit of Anointed, his Bastion, General, Vassals, another unit of Slaves, his 6 Anointed unit, which I felt could have been a bit risky at some point, because as you can see, the BSB is really far away from them, so they are on Leadership 9, no reroll, and then the second Titan. And what I did as a counter deployment was to put something strong, but I noticed the fact that he can do 2x7 movement and move away and basically be hidden and hard to reach for me. So I anticipate that and didn't put a lot of strength here up top. I wanted to face him, try to go for the win and have some combat and not deploy too defensively, which I could have done by using the Impassable and play strong on this flank and basically let come at me. But I wanted to try to face him and put some strengths on my weak flank as well to see how that goes. So I have here my Ginget Tusker, Dart, Scratapult, Death Star with old character, 5 Sabertooths, 2nd Scratapult, 3 Tuskers, Giant, and my Trapper guys. I didn't find a way, I couldn't put them, they didn't fit all together here. I didn't want to put them here in Vanguard and then stop somewhere here in the middle, being within shooting range, since most of my stuff everything was just outside the Bastion and outside the NAFTA as well. So I minimized what he might do with shooting. I didn't want to put my trappers in the middle of the ground. So basically I just trapped that and move out of the way, but he still has a charge turn 1. We'll see what he does. Let's move on to turn 1. So he took the charge against my small guys. I decided to flee. I don't remember. These guys just pushed forward as well. He pushed the slave forward, took the traps and the DTs, and still managed to be alive. Then he has those guys here that didn't move. Same for the Bastion, just move slightly forward. General stays on the hill, and he moves those slaves also forward. Having the option to, if I charge, he can just flee. He has a lot of option of what he might do. And the Titan here just stays in place and, yeah, will be ready to just stop me from pushing basically forward too much at the moment. In Magic Phase, he got Hereditary off on my Giant, then roll a 555 on 3 dice on Pyro Flow on my Giant, so I let that go. He lost the spell, it was normal card, and basically did 4 wounds to my Giant, which is a lot, but no spell anymore, which is huge. Then he got some -1 weapon skill somewhere, and with shooting he did another 2 wounds to my Giant, so my Giant is already almost dead. So I figure out I need to deal with the slave, because if I don't next turn, they push another turn and chaff me. And basically, if I want to avoid that, I need to engage both. So we will see what I do. I took a couple of charges. I took the Tribesman on an 8. Scratapult, I think, was on a 6. And this one also like 8 and something, or maybe less. Yeah, it wasn't far. So 6 as well, I guess. And the Giant pretty much automatic. What I decided to do is put the Giant in a corner to only have 3 attack on me. I have 1 wound left. If I survive, I can do plenty of attack, break him, and basically try to double overrun to create chaos in the middle of his line, maybe. That's more or less the idea. So we'll see how that goes. And here I took a second charge here, just failed the Tribesman. Those guys stayed in place, the Death Star as well. In Magic Phase, I did cast the Wrath of God in the middle of his line here. And close combat, the Giant died to the 3 attacks, obviously, so Giant is dead. I did some wounds, but he's still alive, and he as well did some wounds. And I had to reform to avoid him getting a charge all the way down from the Vassal, and then charge from the Bastion in the flank, and then he could overrun with the Vassal against them, which would be a problem. So I had to reform sideways. Obviously, he couldn't charge with the Titan. His turn 2, so he decided to basically take... What did he do? He pushed Max with those guys. He moved the Titan towards the middle. Moved the Bull down. Here we stuck in combat. I could reform in a way that I would be in the front, so he couldn't charge me, obviously. And here, just turn around the Titan to be ready to charge, but also minimize. If I charge with my guys here, I would only get 2 models in contact. So we wanted to be aggressive and create some openings, which I found interesting. And here we stuck in combat. The Bastion didn't move much. As you can see, my Wrath of God is here. A bit too close from him. I could have put it a better way, but at the same time, I felt I could potentially overrun. I could have put maybe behind, would have been better to be a bit further away, so I didn't like what I did here with the Wrath of God. In the Magic Phase, he got big Hereditary on the Scratapult, on the Tuskers. Yeah, basically wanted to avoid me charging here, so he got Cloak of Cinders, and here big Hereditary. And then Wrath of God comes down, did 4 wounds to my own Scratapult, which is very annoying, and did some wounds here and there. Close combat, I did a couple of wounds. He did some to me, we stuck. Here I die, which is annoying. but nothing I could do. And then my turn, I took a couple of charges. So I took this charge. I felt he has no buffs. I have my magic. I already dealt with some Kalim Titan with charging Tuskers with only 2 modern in base contact, so I felt okay. And basically he had no counter charge, so I felt even if I don't go through in 1 round, I might kill him at some point and not suffer too many wounds, so I felt okay about that. Took the charge here, took the charge from those guys into the slaves. He decided to flee. Slaves had enough. And then, yeah, let's see. I didn't charge with them. I felt charging here is too risky, that I'm in the middle of the board and it can easily push, and basically I'm going to die facing the Bastion. And the rest just rearrange. In the magic phase, I got hereditary and +1 strength on my Tusker here, so I felt good about the chances of getting combat. Shooting, he passes 1 armor save on his general against my crossbow. Close combat, yeah, just one-shot the Titan. He did pretty much nothing, I think maybe 1 wound. And I strike, and +1 strength is just savage, and also hereditary to avoid getting too much damage. So basically, it just popped after combat result, and I reform. So that's 1 problem less for me. He was careful of not being within 6 to not generate any panic check, obviously. And here we stuck. He had 1 guy remaining, meaning I cannot flee any charges, so he can get rid of me. His turn 3 decided to take the charge with them against my Tuskers. Obviously, I fled. I prepared some flee pass. That's fine. He didn't pass his 9 non-rerollable check to charge me in the flank, which was nice. Other than that, just mostly reposition, as you can see, and he charged with the bull against my Squatapult here, which makes sense. I only have a long charge. And here, as you can see, rally the slave, push with the Bastion to shoot at my Tuskers that are now in range, and turn those guys around. In case I charge here, he can just counter-charge me in the flank, and I'm going to die, pretty much. A magic phase, he got hereditary on my Scratapult, and -1 weapon skill somewhere, and with shooting, he did 4 wounds to my Tuskers. 20 shot on 5, wounding on 4+, and I have a 6 up, and 4 wounds. That's quite a lot. Luckily, I passed the 8 rerollable panic check, at least. My turn. So I'm not in a good shape. I have like 4 Tuskers left and a Death Star to stop all his battle line. I lost 2 Squatapult, a Giant. He lost Kalim Titan, so I'm a bit down on point, but not too much. So I felt now I need to defend a bit more. So I just moved slightly backwards, try to zone. Since he cannot march too much, I'm still zoning all his battle line with my Death Star. So we'll see how he react to that. And those guys just move slightly backwards, try to augment the distance between myself and the Bastion. And those guys just rallied, and I repositioned Chaff and stuff. And rallied those guys as well on 9 rollable. In the magic phase, I got Swarm of Insect on his Kalim Titan. Did 5 total 6s, and he passes 5 ups, so nothing. Then I tried Wrath of God, that failed. And with shooting, I did 1 wound to his general. And now it's his turn 4, and I think that's the time where I just discussed with his team and decided it's now the time. Because basically, if he does nothing, is up on point, but not much, maybe like 11, maybe 12. If he takes something, and now he needs to decide whether or not he push with the Bastion, prepare some counter charges, and basically push also here, and force me to charge, and then he can push and get more points. And that's the only way he might come close to my secondary objective. So he decided to do that, since they were a bit down on point on all the tables. He felt they were losing, so he decided to try to push. So he pushed with the Bastion, charge with the 3 guys against some tribesmen. I just fled that, and he's going to end up against the building. We saw at this point of time that we are only going to play until the end of turn 5. So yeah, that's it. Push a bit with them. So he prepared he gave me a front to those guys, prepare a shot against them. If I charge here, he can counter charge me with some pieces. Basically push here, and everybody was getting ready for some fights. In the magic phase, what did he get? Yeah, that's the point where I use Binding Scroll on Ravenswing. Because if he 5 dice Ravenswing and move the Bastion here, that's the end. I'm not going to be able to charge it. I'm not going to be able to move it away from the secondary. So that's just a game-breaking spell, which I didn't want, so I used the Binding on that. Then he got Hereditary on the Tigers as well, I think. Got -1 to wound on the Bastion. Or the Tuskers maybe, Hereditary. No, on the Tigers, I guess. And then with shooting, he did 1 wound to my Tusker this time, not so much. And 4 wounds to my Tigers with a hit from the Titan Mortar, which is not bad. And got also some shot from them, I guess. Or maybe shot at the Death Star to give me flammable, I guess so. And my turn, I decided to go. I felt I could charge with them. If I have only one guy left, I can just position myself here and then position the Death Star in a way that these guys are going to be in my front. He has counter charges in my flank, so those guys in the front, the Bull would be on a 9 and the Titan would be on a 10. And those guys I can chaff and prepare stuff. So I decided to go. So boom boom charge, he stand and shoot against my Tusker, did 1 or 2 wounds. I had one guy left in close combat. That's how we are. I prepared the Tusker to counter charge here, but I needed to chaff them to avoid them charging me. Here I just prepare as well another counter charge, and those guys rallied, or those, I don't know, no, they already rallied. Those guys just move in the way to do 12 and go in secondary objective range, basically. In the magic phase, I fail on 2 dice Smite the Unbeliever, which is really unlikely, because +1 to cast, rerolling the ones, I need a 6. So I decided to use all my magic strengths, which is getting a lot of small spell, but when failing Smite, it's really annoying. I think I roll a double 2, which is the worst I can get. And then I try Hereditary on my Death Star, it Dispel. I try +1 Resilience, it Dispel. So from the 3 spell I really wanted, I got none. Which is really annoying. And then I got at least Rod of Battle on my Death Star. But I have no defensive buff. Before getting some counter charges, I was feeling a bit nervous about that. Close combat, I decided to allocate the attack from, so I didn't get a challenge, didn't use make way with the BSB because I didn't want to strike at the champion. So I strike with the Great Khan plus the Tusker on his BSB. I did 2 wounds, so he saved the BSB on 1 wound left. A Great Khan plus Tusker, and the rest went on the unit. I won, but he passes the Steadfast. He's turn 5, which is going to be the last turn. So as you can see, his beautiful army and beautiful combat, really good looking. And now the counter charges. He failed the Titan on a 10, which was a game changer. Obviously, you get that in, I have low chances of surviving, and I get pretty much tabled. So huge moment in the game. We both know that. But at least he got the Bull plus those guys in the front, which is still quite a lot. The rest just move out of the way. Those guys eat my chaff, and Titan fail charge. In magic phase, he got -1 weapon skill on myself. He failed Cloak of Cylinders and failed the big flaming sword on 3 dice. So it's not worse. I could have expected more. He also failed a lot of buffs in comparison to me, so that was fine. Close combat, I tried to put as much as I could on the Vassal. I did, I think, 1 wound on him, some wounds in the unit. And basically, he was losing by 4. So he first checked on the General, failed that one. The General is dead. So it was 5 rollable, General dead. Then the Vassal, Steadfast, 9 rollable, fine. And then the Bastion, 5 rollable, fine as well. So it could have been worse for him. My turn. So as you can see, the bruises they strike a lot. I mean, they do a lot of wounds. I don't know if I roll or not, but basically it's strength 3. It's depending a bit. He didn't hit any time with the crush attack, so he was a bit unlucky on that. And then basically, BSB going nuts. A lot of strength 6 attack on the unit, so I did a lot of wounds on him. And he didn't roll so well, so basically that worked well for me. My turn, I also forgot the turn before I could have put my Great Khan here to apply the Ligaton on them. So that was a small mistake for me. My turn, I counter charge with the Tuskers, suffer some wounds in the wood, but still have 1 model in base contact. Move within reach of the basically secondary, and then close combat. I'm going to win heavily. I don't remember about which buff I got, but basically he auto break with both. I pursue the Vassal with this guy, but fail to catch him, and the other 2 units pursue the Bastion, obviously, and I'm going to catch him, and he dies. So that's how it ended up, basically. Ended up being a 14-6, so yeah, very bloody game. Not unhappy to finish like that, because it didn't start well. I was able to climb back. My opponent also taking some risk to try to get more points, which makes sense, and could have turned either way, so it was really tense. Post-game analysis, deployment, I tried to stay in front of him. I was always going to move back and contain his strong flank. My weak flank didn't work so well. I invested a lot of resources to deal with the slave, didn't manage to deal with them, and basically I lost to Scratapult Giant to get half point of 1 unit of slave. So not great. After a good start, ID decided to go for a bigger win, like I mentioned. It could have been, I think, more patient with NAFTA, because blocking my Tuskus and preparing countercharge for later on would have been enough for this Titan. I think he didn't need to move forward and try to force me to engage. He could have wait more, continue to threaten with Raven's Ring, and then at some point maybe force a Raven's Ring to minimize contact, get some shot, or just prepare a countercharge for the moment the Bastion was going to push forward. I think he had still more options since it was his weak flank. He wasn't necessarily forced to engage like that. And yeah, Bruiser Star didn't miss a chance to shine. Great performance from the Bruisers that delivered. Yeah, a lot of character in the unit. I didn't got the buff I wanted to help me more, but still managed to win close combat quite easily with the number of attack, high strength attack. And yeah, my Stratapult really disappointed. I mean, close combat against Slave, it's annoying. I depend a lot on the impact, and after that it's only 3 attack strength 5, 7 attack strength 3, not great. And basically I struggled to get rid of the slaves, which complicated my life, and engaging with the Scratapult, which were a bit chariot designed to do this kind of stuff, didn't work at all. I just lost both and didn't get rid of the slaves. So yeah, it was annoying. We ended up winning the round 48-32, winning on 3 table and losing on 1. Thanks a lot again to the opponents. Team Piloli was a pleasure to face you guys. Was a hard-fought round, not easy at all. So yeah, thanks a lot to them for the enjoyable round. Guys, that's all for this third game. I will talk to you soon about Sunday's battles. Bye bye.